I do love the smell of liber-tea in the morning. Although I'm more of a coffee drinker. Is there a term for that yet in the Helldivers community? Like democracy? Democracy. 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 Let me know in the comments what the democratic equivalent for coffee drinkers would be in Helldivers 2. Comment below, let me know. Good morning, after evening, my beautiful people. My name is All Night, and today, history has been made. For those of you living under a rock, allow me to pull you out from under that rock and show you a big old taste of democracy when I tell you that Helldivers 2 has been one of the biggest releases of 2024 so far, and was also subject to one of the biggest pieces of controversy of the year so far. What exactly am I talking about? Let me give you the skinny. Helldivers 2 is a co-op shooter developed by Arrowhead Games. This game hit the industry by storm by basically just throwing the game out into a market marred by terrible microtransaction practices and actually designing the game around players first and doing some very player first designed things when it came to their live service policies. Battle passes that don't expire, premium currencies that you can acquire in-game, and entire armor sets that are less than $2 each. It is unheard of how fair and consumer friendly a game can be. But Helldivers 2 is an amazing shared experience across many players who joined onto the battlefield to fight some bugs and shoot some robots. The success that this game had was unheard of, but everything changed when capitalism attacked. This past weekend, Sony and Arrowhead Studios took to Twitter to confirm that on May 6th, an update would be made to Helldivers 2 for the PC version of the game specifically, that you would require a PlayStation Network account in order to play. For clarity, the game is available on PlayStation 5 and PC through Steam. This game is actually a Sony-published title. So yes, while it may not be strange that you need a PlayStation Network account to play a PlayStation game, at least on a PlayStation console, on PC this has not been a requirement yet for any of their titles. Now, say what you will about information security and the day and age that we live in where information is a very sensitive resource. It is understandably so that people are scared to create additional accounts to play games nowadays because of the amount of data breaches that happen across the board in the entire entertainment industry. Yes, I know, Sony has been subject to quite a few, but even still, it is an unfortunate practice that gamers have become somewhat complacent to. Ubisoft, EA, Microsoft, all of these publishers do require additional logins even if you're playing on PC. But this is the first time where a publisher has made it a requirement post-launch instead of on launch. Quick clarification here, the game was actually meant to launch with this requirement, but Helldivers 2 was so successful that the server capacity was reached within days of launch. So in order for the developers to work on increasing server capacity, they had to disable the requirement for PlayStation account linking early on so that way they could let people in to enjoy their game. A big part of this game's success was them going around the publisher's requirement and saying, we have to open the floodgates and let people in. No one should have to be forced to make a PlayStation Network account. That worked early on when we really needed to expand that server capacity for this game. But now we no longer need that restriction, and Sony noticed and wanted to put in that requirement 3 months later. Now I must emphasize before I continue to the next phase of this story, I do not condone harassment or discourse of specific individuals on the internet. I will report on the news, and I will of course give my biased opinion on things. I will holistically admit that my opinion may be biased here, and take that as you will. But I'm never gonna attack anyone. I'm never gonna say, nope, your opinion is wrong, get out of here. You know, I want to have friendly discourse and friendly discussion about these types of things because everyone's opinion is valid in situations like this. And we have to dogpile the right people to make change happen in this industry. And dogpile we did, and that is exactly what happened here. Shortly after this announcement was made on Twitter, Helldivers 2 was review bombed to hell and back. Going from an overwhelmingly positive score on Steam, it went all the way down to mixed reception in less than 48 hours. In 48 hours, the reception of a beloved modern-day live service multiplayer game was completely flipped on its head. Helldivers community joined forces to show Sony that we are not playing around here. In addition to the information security concern in regards to making a PlayStation Network account for a PC game, there are certain countries that this game was sold in that are unable to make PlayStation accounts. It's just PlayStation Network is not available in their country for whatever reason, the country's reason or Sony's reason. They just can't make PlayStation accounts. So there's some really weird legal, sort of aspect to this that I really can't comment on, but that is a massive problem when you are now essentially having people buy your game and then bam, putting the shutdown button on them and keeping their money. Luckily, Steam was super cool during these 48 hours of this discourse because they were offering refunds even to people who had a crap ton of hours in the game already. They were offering refunds based on these decisions. The ball, however, was in Sony's court to respond. And as of this morning, I think it was midnight last night that they made this announcement on Twitter, was that the May 6th update would no longer go through and that they would explore other ways of continuing the PC and PlayStation integration. I cannot emphasize enough how insane the impact of this controversy will be for the gaming industry moving forward. I think this sets a new standard for us gamers when it comes to how we treat this industry. What I mean by that is, in the span of 48 hours, a group of people that really liked a game that was a revolutionary, change of pace for live service games. A group of people cared about a game so much and cared about these developers so much that they made their voices heard and made an impact on the game's metrics and performance in less than 48 hours. CEOs, executives, and publishers only speak two languages, whatever their native speaking language is, and the language of money. If they can actively see that a decision that they have made is going to negatively impact their sales moving forward, they will backpedal in minutes. And I think the actions taken here in letting our voices be heard to Sony, it is one of the most insanely prideful moments I have had in the gaming industry. I unfortunately could not take part in reviewing Helldivers 2 because, again, I have it on PlayStation, and I don't think one-starring the game on PlayStation would have made the same impact as showing the discourse on PC. And you can't write a review for the PC version if you don't own it. It's to prevent review bots from influencing stuff on Steam. So either way, this is an insane moment for all gamers worldwide that can finally feel like their voices can be heard. Think back to the ugly Sonic discourse. We bullied a production studio so hard that we got them to backfire off of a CGI model, completely redo a movie CGI model front to back, and now we have one of the most successful video game film franchises of all time. We, as consumers, have much more power than we realize. Influencing the industry to our demands is part of being a consumer. So again, letting your voice be heard, loud and proud, not harassing people directly, but voting with your wallet and voting with your rating are all part of a true democracy. However, I cannot emphasize enough, the war has not been won just yet. On screen right now, you will see the countries that you cannot currently make a PlayStation Network account in. In these same countries, Sony pulled Helldivers 2 from the Steam stores. I don't know what this means for people that already bought the game before they pulled it from the Steam store, but currently you cannot buy Helldivers 2 in these countries. These countries must be allowed to take part in the Helldivers experience in order for us to truly win here. So again, make your voices heard. Let them know that this is what we want, and we want everyone to be able to experience this game. Because this game is insanely special. It has the makings of Game of the Year in a multiplayer game. We haven't seen something like that since Overwatch 1, way back in the day. The influence that Helldivers 2 is going to have on gaming as a whole, and the gaming industry and the consumer-publisher relationship in the future, is kind of wild to think about to me. But I just hope that we as consumers will continue to practice our democratic rights and allow the publishers to let us know what we truly want. Make your voice heard, and be proud of that voice. For true democracy is the only way. I definitely think a Helldivers 2 scripted video from myself is absolutely going to be needed at this point, given the immense change and revolutionary paces that are being made with this game's social media presence and just presence when it comes to the publisher-consumer relationship. There has to be an all-night episode dedicated to talking about why Helldivers 2 is so special when it comes to multiplayer games. That video will come in due time, but in the meantime, I must continue spreading democracy across the stars. But that's all I got to say here today. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about Helldivers 2 and this wild situation from this past weekend. Don't forget to like the video, show the algorithm some love, subscribe for more content, and as always, I've been your host all night, and do not forget to stay loved, keep loving, and have a wonderful night for democracy.